Hey guys, Vas here from Aussie Playground and welcome to another unboxing. Today we're going to be looking at the ARRMA Raider XL. Now of course if you guys follow the channel you know that I've been actually getting quite a few ARRMA vehicles, but that is because I'm really enjoying the brand and I'm quite happy with the durability and the performance of these cars. Not last year was 2014. In 2013 you'll see over there that little yellow buggy is the ARRMA Raider standard 1/10 scale, and actually it was the brushed version. That was my first ARRMA vehicle and I was actually quite impressed with it. Certainly had a couple of little things that weren't always perfect. You know, not every RC is completely flawless. That one has a couple of little annoyances as well. But overall, performance wise and durability wise, that car performed very well. So recently, ARRMA have released the Raider XL, which is a stretched version of that exact buggy. But it does have a couple of little extra things on there as well that we're going to go through very quickly. Now this is a brushless vehicle. It only comes in brushless, and as far as I know, it's only available in the green. I haven't seen any other colors, so it would have been nice if they had a couple of different options in color, but green is the only one that it comes with. Of course, this is capable of 60+ miles an hour, and I did read somewhere on the box that they actually reached 67.1 miles an hour using a 3S LiPo battery, which is pretty impressive. I mean, that is very fast. You know, it's about 110 kilometers an hour, somewhere around there. So pretty quick. It is only, of course, rear-wheel drive. This is not a four-wheel drive vehicle, but it is still very cool. Definitely, I like these type of scale desert buggies, you know, Baja style type of vehicles. Just something that it just appeals to me. I don't know. So we're talking I think it's a 3600 kV brushless motor, 80 MPSC. All the electrics are waterproof. Of course, you have your D-Boots tires there on the buggy itself. Waterproof receiver box. Does have all metal gearing in the diff. The only thing that I wish they would have gone for is, instead of just standard 2 spider gears, gone for 4 spider gears, but hopefully it's not going to give me any durability issues in that regard. So very quickly we'll take the lid off here. We'll just get rid of that and I'll give you a bit of a quick peek as to what this guy looks like in the box. That's how it all came packaged up. So first thing in my hand here, I'm going to take out the remote. Now this remote of course is the same as all the other remotes that I've had with the other ARRMA vehicles that you see on the shelf. The only one that's not on the shelf is the Kraton, because it's absolutely huge and it doesn't fit on my shelf unit. I actually need to make a new shelf unit just for that car. Alright, so the remote, as you can see, is this guy here. If you haven't seen these before, they're actually very good. I'll quickly just pull this little flipper door out like that, and there's your controls, trimmings. You got steering throttle trim, steering dual rate, and of course you got your reverse switches and a binding button in the middle. The cover itself is kind of semi see-through, so when the remote is on, you can actually see 2 LED lights sort of shining through the back cover. Collapsible antenna, drop down wheel, runs on for the blaze. Fine radio, no problem about this guy at all. Little white box in here. And this guy, I'm assuming, will be our charger. Yes, it is. So it does come with a wall charger because they do include a battery with the vehicle. Now these chargers, you know, they're kind of like little trickle chargers, and it will take you a while to charge up the battery included. But if you are brand new to the hobby, you've never had an RC car, or any RC for that matter, in the past, you know, this is kind of something that will get you going. Not very fast as far as charging goes, but it'll get you going. A cool thing that ARRMA have done here as well is they actually include a bunch of different wall plugs. So depending on where you are in the world, you can order this from anywhere, and you know that you're going to get a plug that's going to suit the outlet in your country. So here in Australia, we use these little guys. They look like that. They're kind of angled. So there's really only one way that you can actually plug them into the wall. So I'll be using that one with my charger. Well, that is of course if I use the charger. And now very quickly we'll get rid of this cardboard surround that's on the buggy here. Throw that over there. I'll clean that up later, it's alright. And we'll take the buggy out, and underneath the buggy there is a bunch of other paperwork and goodies as well in here. So I'm going to show you some stuff here. Bring this up to the camera. This is what you get. There is a foam block. There is a little bit of Lexan in here as well, which I will show you very quickly what that's for. I'll put that aside just for now. Let's pour out some of this other stuff. Like what they have done with some of the other vehicles that I've had in the past, they also include a bit of a speed chart. So there'll be miles an hour on one side, kilometers on the other, and based on the gearing and the battery that you're going to be using, they give you a bit of a rough idea of what speed you're going to be expecting to get out of the Raider XL. A little bit of a tools bag, so there's a cross wrench in there, some Allen keys, so pretty cool that they've given you one of those. Binding little gizmo for your receiver, which a lot of times you don't need, but it's good that they include it. Now there is some, I believe that these are your high-speed gears to get you to the 60 mile an hour that they claim on the box. In here is a 17-tooth pinion gear. Not quite sure what size. There you go, 54-tooth spur gear. It actually says on there. So perhaps these two combined on the Raider XL is going to get you to that claimed speed. And of course there are a couple of other little things in here actually. We've got some preload spaces for your shocks. Looks like a couple of extra servo horns and extra, maybe some servo mounts. Looks like. That's what that looks like to me. Oops, let me put that in front of the camera so it'll focus in a little bit. That is the little plastic bag. Now, and an extra body clip. Don't know where that came from. All right, so this little bit of Lexan, what this is for, this is what I'm assuming it's for, is if you see here, you have these little headlight detail. Now, this is actually just held on with one screw straight in the middle here. You can take that off and you can actually put this guy in its place if you don't want this headlight detail on there. I'm personally going to leave it on there. I mean, if it breaks off or something bad happens in a head-on collision, then I know that I've got the extra little bit of Lexan to finish off the front end here. But I'm going to leave this on for the time being. All right, now that we've covered that, I'll just quickly push this over to the side very quickly. And let's have a look at the buggy itself. I'll get my fat head out of the way so you guys can have a better look at this guy. So there it is. You can see all the little details on it, such as the headlights. I'm really liking these black chrome wheels. They look fantastic. I like the EXO cage. The aluminium roof. This is actually aluminium up here, guys, and you have, of course, some more fog lights or headlight detail up there. Rear spoiler feels real nice, fairly flexible, so you know that if this lands on the spoiler, it's not going to just snap off. Really nice there. The little red bit here, this is a removable little cover to give you access to a slipper clutch that you can adjust to obviously, you know, reduce or increase grip depending on where you're running the vehicle and how you like to drive it. Standard dog bones in the rear here. We have adjustable toe links in the rear and adjustable toe links in the front as well. Sorry, adjustable camber in the rear, adjustable toe in the front. We have the 80 amp BLX ESC tucked away underneath there. Almost feels like they should have maybe put a helmet around that just to make it look like a driver. But anyway, the antenna is kind of nicely tucked away back here. Seems to be below the line of this headlight detail, so even if you flip the car over, it's unlikely that you're going to damage this guy, so very nice. Headlights look like they're just using body clips on these ones, so that's cool. I remember on the standard Raider, these were actually screwed in and they were a real pain to take out. This will make removing the body a lot easier. So you can just pull the pin, take the headlight off, and you'll be able to remove the Lexan body, which, by the way, from what I can see, is held in place with 3 body clips. There is one here, and one of these on either side, so there's another one on that side as well there. Excuse me. Now, let's just very quickly have a bit of a feel of these tires. Tires actually feel very grippy, kind of a medium to firm feel to them, so not super hard, certainly not the softest I've ever felt, but they do have enough give in them, I think, to be not just durable but also a little bit grippy. Now, a couple of things just in regards to the wheels and tires on this particular vehicle is that they use kind of a short course design. So the rears, for example, have a smaller outer diameter and a much larger inner diameter, so much like your short course truck wheels and tires. This of course makes it a little bit tricky to find buggy tires or buggy wheels that's going to fit on here, but I don't see why you just couldn't get short course wheels and slap them on. I'm certainly going to give it a try, and if they work, they work. Now, some short course tires are actually quite narrow, so it's going to make the thing look a little bit odd, but I do believe that the Proline Badland tires on some short course truck wheels are actually quite wide, and they may actually look the best and perform the best on something like this. The downside, of course, if you do replace the rears, you're unlikely to find matching fronts, because the fronts have a very similar design as well, a larger inner diameter and a smaller outer diameter. But of course, as you can see, they are much narrower than the rears. So unless you get the exact same tire front and rear, which may, you know, kind of take away the look of it a little bit, take away from the scale look of it, may certainly improve performance, but just the look of it I think will be completely different. For me personally, I would be quite happy to leave the fronts as they are and just go with something that looks similar to these in the rear. And yeah, just be happy, because at the end of the day, it's only a rear-wheel drive vehicle. But that's not to say that perhaps there may be some wheels and tires that somebody's come across at some point and they're able to swap them out if you want to. Suspension. Let's have a look at suspension very quickly. Okay, the front feels pretty good. It's probably a little bit bouncy, but at the same time, you know, there's no real big diffs at the front. It's only a rear-wheel drive, so the front end is quite light, so it does make a little bit of sense to keep it as light as it feels. The rear, however, I'm going to say is well dampened, but it certainly feels undersprung. I would have preferred perhaps a little bit more bounce in the rear, but it does feel quite plush when you push down. So the buggy is probably going to squat down, it's going to grip very well, well, hopefully anyway, but it's just when you do little jumps and things like that, it's probably going to be slapping that rear end on the ground. So I'm more than likely going to put a couple of extra spaces on here. Just try to keep the rear end up, because of course you have your motor here, you have your ESC, which is kind of, you know, to the rear of the center of the vehicle, and then of course you got the big battery tray underneath as well. So speaking of battery trays, to access this battery, if you don't know already, you don't actually have to remove the Lexan body like you do with most of the RCs that are out there on the market today. ARRMA have actually got this battery tray accessible from underneath. So what you do, you pull this little pin here, just like so. You push this guy out, so there's a little rod that kind of goes across and locks the battery tray into place, so you get rid of this guy. And then you just, there's a little hole here, just put your finger in there, open up the tray, there's your battery, and this is the battery that they've included with this vehicle, which is, it's quite a big one, I have to say. I think it's the biggest included milliamp hour battery that I've ever seen on any ready-to-run vehicle. This is a 4600 milliamp. Most of these tend to go up to about 3000 milliamp. I know Team Associated, even on the Rival, I think had 3000 milliamp if I'm not mistaken. So to have this with 4600 milliamp, I mean, that is huge. You're definitely going to get a fair amount of runtime out of this battery pack, which is great to see. I'm still a little bit, I still feel a bit weird about getting nickel metal hydrate batteries included in brushless vehicles. I know why companies do it. I mean, something that I mentioned when I unboxed the Pro SC recently was that they included a battery with that truck, much like this one, but they did not include a charger. At least here they've included a charger, and you're able to use the vehicle, or the only thing you need to get is 4 AA's for the remote, and within a matter of minutes you're up and running. So there's no complaints about that idea. It's just that nickel metal hydrates with brushless vehicles don't make a lot of sense to me, because these do not unlock the full potential and full power that you're able to get out of the vehicle being brushless. It's just something that I feel a little bit, I'm not totally against the idea. I understand why companies do it, and certainly having included nickel metal hydrates is much safer for shipment purposes than it is having included LiPo batteries, which obviously have restrictions in how you can transport them via air and so forth. So I understand why they do it, but I personally would have preferred just to not include the battery in there. Don't worry about it. let's make the vehicles a little bit cheaper and let the end user go out and source their own batteries and charger. That's just how I feel about it, but this is coming from my perspective in my particular part of the world, my circumstances, based on my experience with all these other vehicles that I've had in the past. Of course, you may have a completely different opinion, and this may be the perfect setup for you for what it is that you want to do. So going back to the battery tray, you can see that it is quite big. They've got a little bit of foam here to protect the battery, and also a nice little piece of foam on the actual tray as well. There's a great big block of foam back here, and there is also the included piece of foam that I mentioned earlier is in here as well. So this is for your obviously for your standard 2S packs. You'd slide this guy in here, and of course you can put it in the rear or put it in the front, which may influence your weight bias on the vehicle as well. So if you put it towards the front, it's going to push the battery slightly towards the rear. If you put this on the rear, it's going to shift the battery back to the front. So nice little kind of tunability option that you have here. The steering servo is tucked away underneath this aluminium plate, so you know that it's going to be fairly well protected. And if my memory serves me right, when I was working on the standard Raider, the servo wasn't actually bolted on. It was kind of squeezed and held in place between a top cover and the actual chassis plate itself. I'm not quite sure if this one is the same thing, but I think from memory that's how it was. So pretty impressed with the battery tray. It looks like there's a little bit more room here for you to run your batteries and your cables as well, which is something that I had a bit of an issue with the standard Raider. So really nice to see that they've actually done a little bit of improvement on the tray. Obviously they have the ability to do that given that the vehicle is a bit bigger and they have a bit more flexibility. So let me see if I can put this body pin back in here just quickly. It's not going to play. Yes, got it. Okay, here we go. Front A-arms and rear A-arms are not hollowed out. They're kind of like a solid piece, if you haven't picked up on that before. So these should be very, very durable. I believe that the stock Raider was actually the same thing as well. Now, I'm very quickly just going to remove the body here because it only has 3 body pins, and I don't have to worry about removing a bunch of screws and whatnot to get the body off. Let me see if I can do this without possibly removing the headlights. Yep, okay, it'll just slide out fairly easy like so. And now we can actually have a better look at the chassis plate, and you can see how it all sort of works underneath that body. You'll see, where is it? On this side actually. You can see back here, this is your on and off switch to turn the vehicle on and off. Now, when the body is on, it does make it a little bit tricky to get to. It is a little bit awkward to turn it on and off. I'm not sure if I'm able to perhaps reposition this switch somewhere where it may be a little bit more accessible, but yet still be protected from, you know, the fairly small sort of, yeah, well, be protected from any damage, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Because there's not a lot of room here where you can actually mount it and still have access to it. But I'll see, maybe I can bolt it on the roof or something like that. I don't know, we'll see how we go. I'll try and work something out. There's probably, yeah, maybe bolting it to the roof is actually not a bad option. Might just do that. So that is pretty much everything that I have to say about it. The shocks are all plastic bodied, they are not threaded. You do have plastic shock caps. I personally would have preferred, you know, perhaps not do the aluminium on the top here and maybe do aluminium shock caps, just an idea. Just even if it's not a necessity, just to reassure people that, you know, there is some performance enhancements here and some durability enhancements as well. Because shock caps, you know, especially when they're plastic, they can sometimes pop from the shock itself or even break. So that's really only that's the only comments I have to say about it. Now, before I finish up, I am going to do something that I did similar to when I unboxed the Italian and compared it to some of the other ARRMA vehicles. I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to grab the camera. I'm going to bring the stock Raider out on the bench, and we'll do a couple of size comparisons just to give you guys an idea of size difference. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so here is the front wheels all lined up, and as we go across to the rear, that is the size difference in the length. And as I pan out a little bit here, you can see just how much bigger one is compared to the other. So there's a significant difference. You cannot make a mistake and say that, you know, that's the 10th scale, or you're not entirely sure. There is a significant enough difference for you to pick it out from a fair distance. Now, very quickly, I will just turn these on their side and show you the width, so you can see just how wide they are. So here is, you know, pretty much flush. As you go across, you can see just how much wider the XL is compared to the stock Raider. Now this little guy here has kind of been dormant for a long time. Whoops, I just zoomed in there accidentally. It's been dormant for a long time. I haven't used it for months. It does have a busted servo. I need to replace that, and I'm actually thinking of going brushless with it. So you're probably going to see an upgraded video for this guy very soon. And then of course I'll have two brushless Raider vehicles that I can sort of compare and say, okay, well, if you get the 10 scale, this is the sort of performance that you're going to get being brushless, and the you know, the XL is going to be better or worse in handling or what have you. So I think that might be actually something interesting that some of you may be interested in. I don't know, but without me babbling on too much longer, I think I'm going to leave this video here, guys. Please be sure to check out the video description for more information on the Raider XL, and as well as a link to my Facebook page, which will keep you a couple of steps ahead of what goes on here on YouTube. That is it from me. Thank you very much for watching. Please be sure to hit the like button before you go, and I will speak to you next time.